Let's talk about adding new staff members in CSST. Your staff members can be used for human resources management purposes, but it's also the list of CSST users. So if you want somebody to be able to log into CSST, they need to be listed as a staff member. That can be done in the agency staff form, which is found here on the navigation form. I can double click it there, or I can go to forms and choose staff here and open it that way, and we'll open up the staff form. The first page is the key page for adding a staff member, and you can see a list of them on the last page of the form. So you can choose a line here and then go back to the rest of the pages will be that particular individual. To add someone new, you simply use the green plus button on the Add New button on the toolbar and choose Staff, and it will give me a new record. So let's add Nancy Newgal, and really at this point we're done as far as all the necessary information for CSST to use. Obviously there's position, title, spouse, pay type, addresses, and phone numbers, office assigned, group assignments, and so on and so forth that you can add for your own use. But the name and the employee ID, which gets generated automatically, are all that are needed for CSST's purposes. So let's click save that particular record. Now, in order for someone to be useful to you or be able to get into CSST and do things, you need to give them access to forms and give them a global access level. So in order to do that, we go to the user access page, and I should point out here that in order to do this user access setup and the global access, which we'll get to in a minute, you have to be logged in as a CSST system administrator. And that simply means that you have to have administrative rights, meaning global access level 9, in order to do these things. To check and see what you have, when you're logged into CSST, click Help on the menu bar, click the About, and you'll get the About screen, and here you see current user is me, Ray Roper, and my access level is 9. So if you're not logged in, the name obviously doesn't matter, but the access level does. You have to have access level 9 in order to have access to this user access page where we set form level access, and to the global access level, which we'll talk about in a minute. So on this page then, we can go down and find this person that we just added, Nancy Newgal, and we can go through individually and choose forms and set the access level. And you'll notice that the access level up here is 1 by default for her use of all forms. Access level 1, as you can see here, is read-only. So she would be able to see forms and look at them and scroll through records and so forth on those forms, but she would not be able to change anything or delete anything. If you want to copy the settings for another user to her, you could choose that other user. Let's choose Mr. Buffalo here, who is a good example. And then I can copy user access settings using this button and choose the person that I want to copy them to, which would be our Nancy Newgal, and I say OK, and it would go ahead and do that. Now I'm not going to do that at this point, so I want to show you some other alternatives, but that would copy both the form level access settings for the person that's selected, in other words Harry Buffalo in this example, and also the global access setting. The other alternative, let's come back to our person here, is that you can select all using this button on all the forms, and then set the level to whatever you want it to be. And notice that 2 is read-write and 3 is read-write-delete. So if you've got somebody who's going to do editing tasks on forms, they need to be at least 2, where they could change records but they couldn't delete them. So take your pick, and then you can use the Apply to All Selected, which would give our selected user and our selected forms, which are all level 2 access to all forms. So that would be one way to go about setting the form level access. Once that's done, click Save. If you don't do that, when you leave the staff form, it will prompt you to save those changes. Now, there's one more thing that has to be done in order for this person to be able to log into CSST, because the global access level for a new user by default is 0, which means that they can't log into CSST at all. So, as a system administrator again, click Administration on the menu bar, go to Change Access Level, scroll down to the new person, which is right here, and you'll see that the default access level is 0. So you need to set that to, if the person's going to be doing editing of forms, you want to make it at least 5, because global access level 4 and below will be restricted to read-only access to all forms, regardless of what the form level access settings were. So make it, and if that's desirable, then obviously you can set their access level as something below 5. Otherwise, set it to 5 or above, keeping in mind that 9 is the highest level, and that's the system administrator access, and someone with level 9 access can do anything. They can change other people's settings and so on and so forth. Once you've picked a number here, click this Apply to Current, and you can just then say OK and close the form, and you're ready to go at this point. Now, when this person logs in, let's try it. Administration, log in. We'll pick NUG, Nancy Newgal. The password for login by default for the first login is password all uppercase. So caps lock on, PASSWORD, and you'll get this initial login, and we could go to Help and About and see that we are logged in as user Nancy Newgal with access level 5.